I don't usually buy other RPGs. I probably will buy this one.
That's high praise. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
The clip you are about to watch is from Talking in the Library, live every Wednesday evening. Do subscribe so you can watch live.
Is Mercs, Mages, and Monsters the core rulebooks thing here?
Oh, look at that.
How's that looking?
Nice.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. So before we start scrolling down, what's the pitch, lads? What are you hoping to achieve with this game that, say, another TTRPG hasn't done yet?
Hasn't done yet. I don't know. Basically our goal when we, started doing this was just getting people back to the table, making it easy to understand. You have that tagline, "Oh, everyone can do it." Like that's what we were aiming for. We taught our 72-year-old father how to do it.
Yep.
If he can do it, I'm sure everyone else can.
I don't know. I've got a very scatterbrained table. Are you saying this is an easy to learn game?
Oh yeah, 100%. We taught him the first version of it, which was
It was a
bag of
monster.
cats. Yeah, and he learned it in about 15 minutes, and he was running around threatening storekeepers and everybody else in no time.
So your 70-year-old father is something of a murder hobo, is he?
Yes.
Yeah, he definitely leans murder hobo. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Now, just looking at the pretty picture, because you've got several consumers in the room here, you can actually see Wick's Warhammer in the background there, the bloody.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of purchasing power. Okay, so you better sell me on this. I'll decide whether I want to purchase this based on your answers. So
No pressure. No
You
pressure.
see-
wisely. Okay.
You walk into a bookshop or a game shop, you see this cover, is your eye caught?
Yeah, I definitely look at the back, right? So if I was walking into Barnes and Noble or something and I saw this on the game section or whatever, I was like, oh, what's this? And I go and I turn it back and I see what it was, right? So yeah, definitely eye catching, definitely something I'd check out.
So there you go. You've spoken to the core audience, at least a little bit. About Brass Dragon, does it catch thine eye?
I do like this artwork. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the artwork that Jack tries to show me from I'm gonna upset some people here from old school D&D. I don't like it. I think it's shit. But this I like.
Oh man, I do. I may be getting some of the original OG artists of the Monster Manual, the first edition Monster Manual on. So please don't say that to them.
Well, I've said it now before they've come on, so we're fine.
Indeed. Right. Let's scroll down. Well, before I do,
that piece. I was going to say that piece there. That's the cover for the soft cover.
Soft cover.
Yeah, and then the artist Hans Radek. I think he has a comic book, web comic series too. I don't have the link or anything for that, but you can look him up. It's like at Radek or something on Twitter. But he has some really nice stuff.
I do like the style a lot. It sort of reminds me of you ever go amazing another film that I've seen. This is incredible. The Sword in the Stone, Disney's Sword in the Stone.
Yep.
It kind of reminds me of that, especially with the guy.
Yeah, it does a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. The Elven Maiden. It has made her
Maybe
way
a
into
little
the chat.
Black Cauldron feel to it too.
That is another film that I have in fact seen. We're getting more films that I've seen. Someone needs to keep a list. Now, Emmy, if you need to rest, my dear, you rest. You don't need to worry about us. You just need to share the link to your thousands of followers. Richard, you are the Demogorgon artist from, was it third edition or 3.5 that you did?
No, fifth.
Demogorgon. It was actually fifth. Okay.
Yeah.
Doi,
I
does this
did
art
all
speak
the
to
Demon
you?
Lords in fifth. Yeah. I was gonna go on a little micro, not rant, but observation.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, there was the years I spent, like on Magic and then on D&D, and I noticed the artist pool that we used zeroed in to a particular style. You know what I mean? Slowly over the years. and then 5th edition dialed into a particular style, and it's very like fully painted, kind of fantastical realism, and that's where you get that kind of vibe. I think a lot of people say where 5th edition feels like superhero D&D kind of thing. So and then I see a lot of people making products, especially ones that support 5th edition, and they have that look, and they're probably pulling from the same pool of artists. And to me, when I see this, which I really like, it's like something different. It's like it's got its own personality, and to throw it out a little different, DC Comics used to keep sort of a tighter rein on their artists in terms of like look and style and stuff, whereas Marvel Comics had all these artists that just had crazy different styles, right? And that's, you know, that's where you got like the all the different Todd McFarlane's and the guy who did the Max and just like all these crazy styles. So this to me, I think is awesome because it tells you it gives me a feel for it. That's not just another
Just
one
Ty's
that looks.
face light up when you say that. He's like, oh, that's what I'm here for.
That's high praise.
No, I just think it's cool. It's got you've got your own personality to it. I think that's awesome.
I like the lighting on it, right? It's very bright in the background, but in the foreground it's shadows, and it plays with that, and that's interesting to me.
No.
I do enjoy the composition, shall we say, that is here. A couple of adventurers. My grandest champion has entered the chat. Hello, sir. Right. Let's scroll down a little bit. Lovely, nice little logo there. Mercs, Mages, and Monsters. I'm a fan of alliteration, i.e. the Lost Lore Library being my brand here, so I can approve of this. Lovely font choice, very legible, like parchment as well. Yogath is an expensive kingdom. Great. An expansive kingdom with a long and storied history, blah, blah, blah. So you got yourself a little bit of lore. I do enjoy, but we shall quickly run our Nat 3s, Nat 24s. So you're doing some different stuff, but I wanted to get to this.
Oh, that's a nice map.
Well, before we go any further, I'm just going to quickly... The mod wife is in the chat. I'm just going to quickly bring her in and say, my love, when it comes to I'm just going to have to quickly kick one of you out. Sorry, Brass Dragon.
Wow, just playing him. Okay.
My dear, if you go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello.
How much do I like maps?
You probably need alone time tonight.
That's enough from you. Off you go. Goodbye. I'll get the dragon back in.
Yeah, I think you need some alone time, mate, tonight.
Right, you're leaving. Goodbye. So yes, as Aaron Lind has just pointed out, I'm never getting monetized because of this map. This is pornography. No, gents, is this done by the same gentleman that did the
No,
the
this
cover?
is Feed the Multiverse.
This is really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
she
beautiful.
did
Can
a
She-
good job on it.
she did a phenomenal job. She's actually, not to give too much away, she's working on another map for us right now.
Ooh.
Can I
for
can I
the-
ask a question? This is kind of a general question to all of you because I'm very curious. Maps interest me as well, and I'm always curious to see like what role in a settings book or in a campaign book or in a rule book even do you guys think that maps serve? Like what purpose? What if you put the map in there, right? What do you want the consumer's eyes to be drawn to? How do you feel like this sells your setting? Is my question. Does that make sense?
It
Yeah.
does.
You
So,
want to take that, or you want me to get it?
yeah, well, I think we're going to have two different views on it, this is why we kind of work well together. Because
Yeah.
for me, I don't have nearly as much TTRPG experience as Jeremy does. I'm a very much more video game player. But for me, when we were putting the map into this, with our random generation tables and stuff that we use for people to create their contracts, the map is the ability for a person to be like, okay, this is where I want my story to begin. And with it being so highly detailed, it gives them that opportunity to be like, zooming in or, looking at it in the book and being like, this area just looks fantastic. This is where I want my story to start, and kind of take it from there. Even with the random generation tables.
I noticed on that, like, one of the things is, and this is the first time I'm seeing any of this. So you're getting the my kind of virgin take here, my first blush, if you will. The washed out colors, right? Was this an intentional decision? Like, are you looking to show kind of like, because the forests and the trees, they're all kind of this brownish white. Was that a purposeful decision? Was that like an artistic decision to kind of sell the nature of your world, or what? Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a purposeful decision. When we were talking to the artist, like the map before this, if you go way back into our tweets in the very beginning, there's one of the original poster things we did was the prequel to this map that I did using I forget the name of the map software, so sorry, creator of that. But
damn.
I use yeah, but
Wonder Draft.
Wonder Draft.
That's what I use. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when we did that, we wanted to lay out the world and everything, and we're like, okay, this looks really good. And then when we handed it off to Feed the Multiverse, she was like happy to work on it and had a bunch of questions like, how do we want the detail washed out, like what kind of look are we going for? And in the end, like, she took like the detail we gave her and just did a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
And it brought this back, and we're like, yeah, no, that's it. That's what we want right there.
What do you think it says about the world?
Oh yeah, it says that the world is old but organized and dangerous. Like you can look off in some of the namings in some of these areas. You can draw connections between the different towns or cities.
Yeah.
We try to make the cities themselves stand out. Deeper in the book, it kind of explains them a little more. So
and the way she did it too, it really works out too, because if you look, the rest of the world is faded, like you pointed out, even the forest and stuff. But around where those cities are, you have these bright points where it's a little bit lighter and stuff like that. But
Points
our world
of light.
is, our world is grim light, is what we call it, and this definitely supports how we look at the world we made.
What's grim light?
For us, it's dark, but there's that potential for hope. So.
Okay.
That's
Modern 40K.
Yeah.
Modern 40K. Okay.
Gritty but not grimdark.
Right.
Yeah, it's not grimdark. Like, you are gonna have there is hope, but it's not coming from like your D&D adventuring party heroes.
Yeah.
You're playing mercenaries and mercs. I mean, these guys are like, yeah, we can handle that problem for you for the right amount of coin. And it's like, well, how does that weigh on your conscience? I don't know. It depends on how big your coin purse is. So it's like.
So here's a question for me, from me then. Now, I enjoy playing the hero because I am rather dashing. Don't laugh at that. If I want to play the hero role, so what you're saying is the good mercenary, the kind-hearted mercenary, is likely going to have a lighter coin purse.
Not necessarily.
But you can definitely play that route. I mean, you would be odds out kind of a mercenary. Like, I want to do it for the good of the people and stuff like that. And you'd probably get more contracts. You might not get some seedier contracts, and other mercenaries might try to kill you because you keep getting in the way of their devious plans. But actions and consequences and all of that.
Indeed. Mr. Witters.
On the map.
On the map. Have you dabbled in cartography yourself?
Absolutely. I've done a bunch of stuff. I like it, like I said, because it keeps with that vibe, like you have on the cover. The world doesn't feel, bright colored and all that. It has a really good feel to it. I like myself the thing you said too about what you're saying, like Grim Light or this or that. That reminds me of that sort of Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser range, right? Where it's like, because I have never, and I've told people this several times, I've never read any books that felt more D&D than the Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser books.
I
they're just
need to read those.
Oh, they're so good.
I keep that keeps coming up. And when it was first described to me, I went, "You mean Godric and Felix?" And it's it keeps being the name keeps coming up. It came up on Cognito. It came up last week on this stream. It's come up again. I think I need to get into those books.
Yeah, grab the audiobooks, whatever. They're great. They're fun, and they're just crazy. To me, like I said, they remind me of they're the stories that most remind me of D&D. But anyway, for maps in general too, I had a thing a while back. I did a little map. It was a few years ago, and it was just a very simple map, but it was like of a tavern. Your classic, like we have the tavern, we have the rooms upstairs. But I added a bunch of these little footnotes. Where they're like, oh, there's a well out back. And it's like, some people see a ghost out here of an old man, blah, 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 holding a lantern, right? And I just put all these little notes around. And what I realized when I threw that map down at the players, they just grabbed it and they all started going, oh, what about here? What about, ooh, maybe I should go there. Maybe we can go gamble over here. And while they were doing that, I had time to kind of prep, like what was coming up. So that to me is part of the use of a map too. If you're really talking like, there's the obvious use, which is you look at it and go, oh, it's a whole world I can explore. But in a game too, when you throw it down and you're like, oh, we're gonna go here, and the players, it kind of takes them up for a minute, and you can have a minute to like get stuff ready.
That's good. So we'll jump to Brass Dragon, because when he first saw this map, he went, ooh, that's a nice map. So,
well, it looks nice at first glance because it's you got the roads, you got the trees, the mountains. It looks nice. It's aesthetically appealing. Also, for a map for a game, it's great because the points of interest are very clearly marked. Even on Jack's shitty quality stream, so I could barely read them. I'm very sorry, but I can. But the cities are glowing. This is nice. You got the clearly defined paths. I like it. It just looks nice. I'm not a professional map designer. I'm not an artist. I can't give you any more in-depth analysis than that. It just looks good.
That's fine. But that's not technically a bad thing, because, as I say, you're not part of the industry in the same way that Richard may be. You're sort of with Wick and I over here on the consumer side of thing, and we go, ooh, that's really pretty. I'm going to put some money on that right bloody now.
It reminds me of Middle-earth.
I was going to say it reminds me of Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
It's funny because we had sort of a stream on that yesterday or the day before with Tim on Tim Imholt's channel. But what you were saying, where it's like, I'm not an artist or a professional or whatever, but this is my reaction. And then you go back to people who make stuff like I did for years. It's more important to me what everyone's reaction is than it is like, I don't have a high and mighty thing to it. It's more like, if I make these things, like, how are people reacting to these things? What's going to fit this? What's going to get people excited? So yeah, in a way, your opinion is more important, because I want to see if everybody likes the taste of chocolate cake, I'm going to bake some up.
Well, thank you very much.
You heard it here first, folks. We're more important than the artist.
True.
I'm a commercial artist, so I'm a mercenary. I like that.
Oh, there you go. Now you can go and get yourself a mage buddy and fight some monsters.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll continue on down a tad. I don't want to spoil mechanics and that too much, but just the way the book is laid out looks really nice. Like the little coin purses on the numbers here. The tables are lovely. It's just really nice. Combat systems. Jeez, I don't want to give too much away, because, as I say, you're going to be selling this. I just want to get to the next bit of art, because this I like a lot.
Can we ask mechanics questions though? Because I just have a couple general.
Yeah,
Oh, we
absolutely.
will. We
Yeah,
will.
go for it.
Tell you what, we'll bring ourselves back to the main screen here, and we will talk some mechanics, and then you guys can tell us where you're going from here in terms of what's next for Mercs, Mages, and Monsters. Mages, Mercs, and Monsters.
Yeah.
Monsters, Mercs, and
I
Mages.
just- it's the two questions I have for anyone who designs a game or puts a kind of a system together in order to play, whether it be TTRPG or in others. What there's two, so give me a moment. One, what problem does your rule set seek to solve? Right? What about playing a fantasy game or a TTRPG does your rule set seek to make the focus and make more interesting? That's the first one. And two, how does your mechanics reinforce the theme that you're going for in your game? So you said you wanted a grim light theme. What about the mechanics reinforces that to the players?
Those are good questions.
Very good questions. Do you want to take it or you want me to?
I can take the first one. You can take the second one if you want.
Works.
Okay. So your first one was what problem does it solve? That's what you're
Yes.
asking.
Yes.
Okay. I wouldn't point to any particular problem. Some systems, like the Warhammer Fantasy system, is very crunchy is a good word, but it hones in on like the damage to different body parts, everything's like that. And then you have D&D, which the later systems, it's more about some would say more about the role play and everything, your character not dying, depending on who your GM is and everything. Ours, we tried to strike a balance in the middle where there is that potential for adventuring and doing that, or fulfilling contracts, so you get that role play. But the the mechanics of it or whatever we were trying to solve, how can we have this be fun but not super crunchy and also easy to understand? So kind of swinging in between of them, because all the systems I went through before this, I wouldn't
Didn't
say
have the right balance to you,
Right.
right? It
Didn't have
just
the right
didn't
balance.
feel
Like I liked 3.5 when for D&D when I started, because that's what I started on, but I didn't play it a ton. What I really got into was Dark Heresy Second Edition for Warhammer, and that is a crunchy system, but because it was a system I spent a lot of time in, it made sense to me. Unless you tried to find something really particular in any of the books or the expansion books, because it was horribly organized.
Yeah.
But so we tried to solve that. We tried to solve that in this book too. Just everything needs to be on like a page or two.
Sure. So if I'm playing, right, if I'm slinging rules, I'm getting my table together, and we want to try this. You wanted it so when I opened the book, I could easily find out rules that could be used to direct the adventure. And you felt that most other systems that you played when you were playing it just didn't have the right balance between meaningful choice and ease of learning and knowledge. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
So that's what we were trying to do. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And then your second question there, how does it support our kind of grim light world?
Yes.
So we use other systems use abilities or stuff like that your characters have. For us, we have knacks and we have talents, right?
Knacks and talents. What are those?
So,
just give me the TLDR. Sorry, I just
So a talent, everybody has an innate talent, right? You're talented in certain things. You have a talent. I have a talent for I don't know, crocheting, I guess, or my wife has a talent for crocheting. Okay. And then
you don't look like the type.
No, yeah, right. My fingers are too big. I can't do it.
Jack is a charming hero.
Yeah, right. And then our knacks are like smaller things that you pick up. You have a knack for this. You kind of learn these things along the way. So we're skill based instead of level based, and you kind of pick these things up as you go.
Interesting.
And then our spells. Which for us, our magic system is definitely what keeps it kind of dark, because for us, our magic system is volatile. You can be a mage if you want to, but you're a risk to yourself and your entire party.
Much like Warhammer, there's a chance you'll go pop.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, so there's a risk for that. But in some of the knacks and the talents and the spells that we created, we kept it light too, where there's some humor in there. Perfect example is that art piece you showed, where it shows a guy wrapped up in vines, and the mage, if you look at it, he's actually casting a spell called Iron Pan, where he pulls a cast iron pan from somewhere in the world, contents included, and throws it at the enemy. So that's, you know,
Random bullshit go.
Exactly. And you know, it's you can pick it up afterwards and it becomes a melee weapon where you have a cast iron pan as your weapon.
And someone's missing their dinner.
Exactly.
Yeah. Only one cast iron pan can be in the vicinity at a time, though. Like you do it again, it disappears, another one pops up. So
exactly.
So how many mages know this spell? Is this quite a low level spell?
It's what we call it's what we call a basic spell. So it's easy to learn.
I only ask because that seems to me like there is going to be an epidemic of people with cast iron pans full of food just gone.
Man, if I was a cook, I'd be using like other utensils.
Other materials.
Don't. It happens when I'm trying to cook up something, right? I'm making my breakfast, make my real eggs, yummy, delicious eggs, and then all of a sudden, pop! I'm like,
damn wizards!
Mages!
That's the fourth one this week. Sketchosaurus Rex is in the chat. Hello. Timothy Imholt says it's pandemonium.
Yeah.
Pandemonium.
Speaking of Mr. Timothy Imholt, he did have a question for you. How many pages are the rules for the game? Can we be up and running quickly, or is it a learning curve?
So it's roughly, we're estimating it'll be from 100 to 120 pages. I think we're sitting at like 102 right now. We're getting some art and fleshing out some final details. But to learn it, I mean, I don't know, 30 minutes at most.
Yeah, maybe for the initial stuff, you can get into it 30 minutes. It kind of leads you in pretty quick on the stuff. Like some of the finer details where you got to remember, doubles do this, or this specific knack or talent does this, and getting used to it being a roll under. If you're not used to a roll under system, then there's going to be a little bit of that. But you should be able to get it up and running and playing in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, and I plan on teaching this to my 10-year-old to see if she can pick it up. You know,
that's a good test.
Basic, so. Yeah,
that's a very good test. Any questions from? Look who's in chat, but not in the stream. It's Baby DM.
Yep.
So, any questions about mechanics wise from you guys, Brass Dragon, Richard Witters?
I have a thing to ask that I think kind of bookends the mechanics discussion, because I've had this thought a lot with things like there's a mechanical side, and when you describe it to people, it tends to be like can get some people, I think, that way. But then there's the sort of the real thing that sells your game. And me and a buddy used to do this when we made stuff for Magic a lot. We'd ask this question, which was, who is it for and why is it fun? And that's really the part where it's like, I'm not going to tell you that you get to roll 2 d20s and you get to do this, that, and that's mechanical stuff. And that's typically what people might find fun after they buy the game. But when you go, who's it for? Why is it fun? It's focused more on, how can I get you to pull this off the shelf and take it home because you need to see what it's like.
I don't know who's it for. Like people that want like mid crunch, I guess, or just looking for they want, like we kind of touched on earlier, they want some grittiness to it. You know, kind of like when you drop your toast at a campfire when you're camping, but you pick it up, dust it off, and you're like, this is fine, it has an extra crunch. So for folks that like that, and then why is it fun? Just because I'm not sure, it's biased coming from one of the people that made it, but I like rolling like the multiple. Like I like rolling the systems, and I like rolling multiple dice and watching the clickety clack rocks go, and then looking. Going,
your target audience. I'll give you that.
I was like, I'm like, oh, I got doubles, or oh, something, and being able to take that and see this. It's not just, oh, I beat whatever number I'm going for. Like something special could happen there, and I like being surprised. When something happens when I roll, like, oh, this is really good, or oh, it's really bad, and then having that imagination kind of to roll forward with it.
Yep. Oh, that's totally cool. That reminds me of the biggest thing players used to look forward to way back when we played first edition was when you got the really big ass fireball and you just were a handful of D6s. And you were
What
like,
if it's the
rolling all these
Death Knight's
D6s.
fireball?
That's okay, because then we get to crumple character sheets and throw them across the room.
This game's stupid.
Yeah, like we have there's one we have Fireball in there, our version of Fireball. There's what's that fun one we had with the dead body? What do we call that?
Meat shield.
Meat shield. Yeah.
No, that's, it's one of our spell schools. Instead of instead of summoning a shield, it's called meat shield. You just pick up the nearest, you kind of heft the nearest dead body or unconscious person and use them to block their shot coming at you.
What if
that's magic?
What if it's Jack's character?
I'm seeing a lot. I am seeing a lot of Warhammer influence here. That is a very that's a very Warhammer fantasy. But that sounds pretty fun. Look, my chat is filled up with puns now. Brass Dragon, have you got anything you want to ask these chaps about their game?
I mean, I'm not an experienced RPG player, so I don't know how much depth you can go into either with your questions, but I like combat. I like fighting things. Could you give
when
me
you hit
a very brief rundown of what happens in the game when I'm walking along the road and there's a goblin or whatever jumps out for you, combat's initiated, what happens?
Okay. You want me to get it?
Yeah, hit it.
Okay. So, say you had no idea the goblin was there. He popped out. You're surprised. The goblin's going first. He'll, fire whatever. If he has a bow, he's going to shoot at you. You're going to roll. Well, he's going to roll to see if he hits. If he would hit, he'd roll a 3d8s on precision, which is our combat mechanic. It's basically isolated into one, what we call traits. So precision, if he hits his precision, meaning he rolls under that, arrow's going to hit you. You would roll agility to see if you either dodge it, block, whatever, and then you just figure out the damage from there. And if you had a shield or everything, it would go from there. And you have your own armor that you would mitigate the damage and stuff with. And the armor's a little flexible. So say you had light armor on, you roll a 1d4, and so you could get either 4 protection or 1 protection on top of whatever your natural protection is. And so it makes it a little swingy, but it was set up that way to kind of infer if it's a good hit or not, depending on how you want to look at it. Like, oh, was the arrow under the arm, whatever. So we didn't have to have a giant chart like they have in Dark Heresy, 98 hits here, 15, leg, arm, head, chest. And so we wanted it just to kind of be a little more intuitive, oh, okay, well, that got here, and that could mean X, Y, Z. And then you just kind of figure out the damage from there if you're dead or not.
Okay.
It flows pretty smooth. Talking about it, it's always hard to describe something like that. But when you're doing it, I got to say, it actually flows, at least in my experience, and I don't have a lot of TTRPG experience, but it flows smoothly. We haven't had issues when we've done the playtest and stuff like that.
Yeah.
See, my question is going to be something similar to the Brass Dragons then, because he has brought back into the forefront of my mind a big problem I have with 5th edition personally, and that's bounded accuracy. I find the armor class in 5th edition is pretty much negligible. It doesn't matter at all, because once you get to a certain level, if you don't have 26 in AC, you are going to be hit regardless. So good luck. is there a form of, say, dodging or weaving, or does a character get more adept at avoiding hits
Yep.
as they get stronger?
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can. So we have different armor classes. So if you're a tank rolling around in heavy armor, obviously you're going to be slower and you're going to get hit more. It has a negative effect on your agility. But as you get experience, you can increase your traits. Every so often you can increase them so you can make it so you have higher agility if you want. If that's your sole focus and you're like, nope, I'm dodging everything. And then we have a knack and a talent. We have dodge and we have parry, where dodge you're getting out of the way, and parry you're blocking a blow that's coming at you, so you can get that free strike coming back.
You see, that was how I designed my previous 5th edition character, was to be this sort of dodge weave fencer type character. Didn't matter. Did not matter how skilled I made that guy, how much I bumped his armor class up. I think I got him to 19 AC in total with magic items, etc., etc. He always got hit because monsters after a certain level have like a +8 or a +9 to hit. So it doesn't matter what AC you've got, unless you're a Blade Singer wizard, and then the DM can only hit me with a crit.
No. There's a tension, I think, in game designs, and I've seen different systems go different ways. We're talking about bounded accuracy, right? Of how to make the world a dangerous place and for the players to feel that their character is under threat, but also help that their character the player feel that their character is progressing, getting stronger, able to do more. And that's at tension. And I'll be honest, a lot of systems fail at this. I don't know. I haven't read your guys' rules, but what do you think?
Yeah.
Be honest with us, gang.
Yeah, we try to mitigate it. Like, you're never going to get it perfect, but we try to mitigate it with ours. One, you're not going to see people with 50, 60 health. That's not going to be a thing. I think the most health, well, when we were doing the quick start campaign, it ended up being a joke. When we were rolling for the health of these quick start characters, the mages ended up with the most health, and I think that it ended up being just ridiculously stupid. But but typically there's not going to be high health. Max health is like 17, 18, I think, is what some of these guys ended up with.
So but it is pretty hefty, like, stakes then.
The risk of death is definitely there. We made it so while combat, it's absolutely there and you can get into it. Not every fight needs to be fought. You're more, you got to think about it. We have it's a joke as part of our
the members
part of our intro there at the beginning, the member's purpose. The first and most important purpose of the member is not to die. No, really. The whole process of bringing a member back to life is terribly difficult and incredibly dangerous.
Yep. I found like the mechanics, like different mechanics have different feels to me. You know what I mean? Like this feels like that, or this feels like that. And what you were describing, Jack, I think it was probably a 5th edition mechanic or something. And I remember reading, it was something like dodge or feint or something like that. And it was like, it gives you a +1 or 2 to armor class or whatever. And I'm just like, it doesn't feel right to me, right? Because if you're dodging, you want to roll a dice or something. But then if you took that mechanic and said, you get like a D6, or you build up several D6s where you can just reduce damage from a thing, and you feel like you're cutting it off. It's like, that sounds more like I dodged out of the way.
Yeah, there is a sense of that. Like the fighter I made was a battle master fighter, and he took the parry and he took the riposte. But I think the parry is, if you were hit by an attack, you roll a d8 plus your fighter level, and you reduce the damage by that amount. I always rolled a 1. So it's like, I'm this really skillful, nimble guy, and it's just, so I would prefer something like you roll a d8 and you add an AC bonus, because that's what a College of Swords bard would do anyway. Chaps, we are approaching the hour mark. would you like to tell people where they can get their hands on this book coming soon?
We actually, Saturday is the first day of our Kickstarter. So our Kickstarter goes live on Saturday. And for those first 48 hours, we're doing a $15 off, 30% discount on the hardcover.
Ooh. So I won't bring the hardcover up, but I am quickly going to bring your Twitter profile up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bad Toad Games over on X. Do go give the Bad Toad brothers a follow, as it's quite obvious they've put a lot of love and care and attention into this. The book itself looks exquisite, is the word I have chosen for it. I think everyone on the panel here agrees that it does look very pretty. I don't usually buy other RPGs. I probably will buy this one.
That's high praise. We appreciate it.
Yeah. You know, to like us and all the artists and stuff that we've had working on it, that's a really big, big positive.
Yeah.
I have to draw those toads. I gotta draw those toads.
There you go. You've got Richard Witters drawing your toads out of this, if nothing else.
Is that little guy in the middle?
Yeah,
Like,
there you go. Max is on the ball. He has dropped you into the chat. Everyone in chat, please, there are 20 of you. Go ahead and click that link. And if you're not following them already, do click follow and keep an eye out for the Kickstarter when it drops this Saturday. And while you're there, you can click like on the stream. Gentlemen, Ty, Jeremy, I thank you for joining us for the first hour of this stream. I kind of need to make way for more people. So I do apologize. I would love to have you back on in, say, like a month's time, just to see how things are going.
Yeah.
And maybe when I get my hands on this book, I will try my hand at running something for a stream, because people do keep asking me. And if it is as easy to learn as you say it is, then maybe I can pick something up quickly and throw a game together. Maybe I can drag Wick into a stream for it and the Brass Dragon, and I can see just how deadly these combats are and have fun murdering them over and over and over again.
Sounds good.
Oh, absolutely. We appreciate it. We're glad we could be here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure, chaps. But you may go now. Shoot.